Welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming and our Evelynn guide for Path of Champions. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Starting off with an overview of the champion, just so that you can know if this is someone you want to invest your time and shards into, based on how they play and their strengths and weaknesses. So first off, we have Complex. Now, Evelynn is probably one of the most complex champions within Path of Champions. I'd say right up there with Jhin. You have to really be thinking several moves and turns ahead. Do the best with Evelynn. Now, it's not that she is incredibly difficult to play, but you definitely need to be planning and strategizing much more than most of the other champions in the game. Next, we have massive scaling. So there's some different ways that you can play Evelynn that will let you buff up certain units very high, but also buffing up your entire deck in the process, so you can get some pretty crazy huge units by the end of the round. Next, we have very unique. So several of the champions in Path of Champions play very similar in my opinion, and that is, even if it's fun to play those champions, can be a little sad that they feel very similar to play. Evelynn plays completely unlike every other champion, at least in my opinion, and that makes her very fun for me to play. Next, we have anti-synergy. So we'll touch on the specifics of this after this overview, but it's not as bad as someone like Ornn. However, there are some ways that her kit is fighting itself, which is a bit unfortunate. Next, we have Champ Reliant. So the main way you're able to buff your entire deck is through Evelynn, and then Evelynn is very powerful, so if you don't draw her, you're going to struggle to win the game. It'll be much more difficult than if you actually had them at turn 4 with that 4 mana that you want to try to get every single round. Next, we have unique relic interactions. So Evelynn is able to level up multiple times a game, and unlike someone like Gnar, she's able to determine when she levels up. It's not at the end of the round. So she's able to take advantage of certain relics that give you a buff when you level up. Normally, most champions can only benefit from that once a game, but Evelynn can take advantage of that up to 6 times every game. So you have a lot of interesting choices with your relics that really no one else has in the game, and that is quite fun. Alright, we'll hop over and explain the main way Evelynn and her deck works. I'm talking about the husks, and after that we will jump in-game to see Evelynn herself, her star powers, her deck, and what relics you might want to run on her. Taking a look at the husks here, so these are what Evelynn and some of her allies are summoning. So they summon with 0-1 baseline. So you can see on the left here, that is what most of your husks are going to be. But as you can see from the other slides, they can get buffed up. So when you play another unit, it kills the husk, taking all of the keywords and stats on that husk. So you can buff up your husk, try to give it extra keywords, even if they're temporary, and then when a unit kills it, all of those temporary stats or keywords are then going to be able to be transferred onto that new unit, making it permanent. So the husks spawn with many different keywords. It's generally all the basic ones. So the ones you see here, also tough, fearsome, quick attack, regenerating. Some of the more powerful keywords, such as double attack and scout, cannot be generated. But this is what Evelynn's kit revolves around. Spawning these units, buffing them up, giving them extra keywords, and then playing other units to be able to take all of those stats and keywords and using it to destroy the enemy. So this is what we're talking about when we say husks later in the video, and the units that spawn them. These are the units we are talking about. Alright, we'll hop into game to show how these units get used and how Evelynn's kit revolves around them. Taking a look at Evelynn now, we have her at level 30 and 2 stars. She is a 4 cost. She starts out as 0/5, and then when I'm summoned, summon a random husk. Level up when you or an ally kill an allied husk, give me its positive keywords this round, and I level up. So that is give, not grant. So whenever you're killing these husks, Evelynn is always getting whatever keywords they had just for that round. So when she levels up, she goes to 5 attack, and then round end, summon a random husk. If fewer than 6 allies have died this game, transform me back into Evelynn, so the non-leveled version. So she's able to level up to 6 times. Normally you're not going to have that happen all 6. Normally it's going to be between 2 and 4. Her spell is Evelynn's Last Caress. Stop all enemy skills and spells targeting Evelynn, and she strikes an enemy. This is very good, gives you some defensives. It works the same way as Fizz does with his stopping of spells and skills. They have to actually be targeting Evelynn for this to work. So something that just targets the board, such as Ruination, is not going to get stopped by this. But something like Crescent Strike, Zoe's stun 2 units, even though it has multiple targets, since it's targeting Evelynn, this would be able to stop that from going off. Her origin doesn't actually have any bonuses like Varus or Kayn. It's just for deck building, which doesn't apply to us as Path of Champions players. Her star powers: Peak of Ecstasy. When you level up an ally champion, grant allies everywhere 1/1. The 3-star is just doubling this to 2/2. So this is when you level up Evelynn or an ally champion. So that's one thing you're wanting to think about, is leveling up your other champions as well, because that will also increase your deck and how big your units are. Alright, the 2-star, +1 starting mana. The first time you kill a follower each round, create a fleeting copy of it in hand. So this is normally going to be when you're killing a husk for the first time each round, but it does still apply if you're killing any follower any other way, including the enemy's followers. So it gives you a bit more depth and lets you kind of play around and have another way to spawn units. Can be very good when you have one of the good husks, like the one with Spell Shield or Elusive, being able to kill that first and then play it again, so another unit can get that ability. Taking a look at the starting deck, and this is the main card that causes anti-synergy. That and the Crawling Viper Worm can cause some problems. So with Evelynn, you want to level her up as many times to benefit from that star power of every time she levels up, she buffs the deck. So she only can level up 6 times based on how many times your units have died, up to 6. So having a 1-drop where it has a Shadow Totem, summons an ephemeral copy, you don't want that because it's just adding to the amount of deaths you've had, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So this is pretty bad and kind of is the main point of anti-synergy in the kit, that some of your cards are around killing your units, where you don't really want to kill your own units until Evelynn has gotten all the level ups she can. Crawling Viper Worm. This can be good later in the game, but to play me, I strike an ally or deal 3 to the Nexus. So not the greatest, since you're not really wanting to use this to kill your own allies, at least not in the beginning. Later on, that can benefit from the Fury, make it even bigger. So that can be good, but it's another thing that you don't actually want to use this to kill your units early, because you want Evelynn to level up. They have a better 2-drop right here. This is normally what you want to play. So I would suggest cutting Warden's Prey. Normally I suggest a higher level card or higher cost card, but Warden's Prey seems like the worst card in Evelynn's kit and doesn't really synergize with everything else. So that's what I would recommend killing. Hate Spike gives you a bit of removal. So this kills an ally to deal 2 to a unit, and then summons a random husk. Gets that 1 damage for the charging sigil. This is very good. You can use this to level up Evelynn by killing a husk with this. So normally with Evelynn, if the enemy is attacking you with an open attack and you don't have time to play a unit, you can use this to kill a husk, level up Evelynn, and then that can be used to stun the entire enemy board with the relics we'll go into after this. Domination, when I'm summoned, summon a random husk. When you summon a 1-cost ally, granted +1. This is nice. Those 1-cost allies are going to be the husks. So you're just further buffing them up, which means you're buffing whatever unit consumes the husk. Phantom Prankster, when ally dies, deal 1 to the enemy nexus. Very good, just giving you constant chip damage for every time a husk is consumed. Vora isn't great. It's not bad. It's another card that can summon husks. But really, Domination is just better in pretty much every way. So if you also have some extra cards that you can cut if you get to a lot of healers and you don't need the heals, Vora is one that I would also cut if you have the time to do it. Steam, pretty good. That Scout, very nice, being able to get him really buffed up and then use him to end the game. The Double Time Watch, normally by the time you play Evelynn the next round, you could play him if you want because he'll be cheap enough. Overall, pretty good deck. You definitely need to be playing all of your husk cards though. If you don't draw them in a game, it will be pretty painful, so you do want to be cutting any cards you can from whatever you pick up throughout the game. So taking a look at relics, first we'll touch on the common relics. So anytime you have a common slot, I would go with the Chameleon's Necklace. Game start, create 2 copies of me in your deck. Evelynn is very important and crucial to your deck. You need to be drawing her. So if you have an open slot in a common, I would throw the Chameleon Necklace in there. You can use this for your very first slot when you just started playing. Works very well. And then if you do draw multiple Evelynns, her champion card is very good, the spell. So if you have a common slot, use the Chameleon Necklace. That's probably going to give you the best results. Now for the rares, you probably want to use these 3 or one of these 2 and then multiple of the Deceiver's Crest. So Crown Guard, when I level up Rally, you're going to be leveling up many times, getting that Rally off consistently. It's great. Tempest Blade, when I level up Stun all enemies. This gives you massive control. Very strong. You can do this every single round until you end the game, most likely. And then the Deceiver's Crest. When I level up, create a copy of my champion spell in hand. It costs 0. So it's that last caress we talked about earlier. Stop all spells and skills targeting Evelynn, and she strikes an enemy. Just giving you some very strong removal every single round that you're leveling up Evelynn. You can put multiple of these in. The Crown Guard and Tempest Blade, you only need 1 of each, but if you want to get rid of one, you could then do multiple of the Deceiver's Crest. One other thing I want to touch on is playing Evelynn as a slightly more of a support champion. So you can go Star Gem, allied champions have 1/1, and then Guardian Trinket. Add 2 copies of a random champion to your deck, attach random epic items to it. So your star powers, they also work with other champions as far as when you level up a champion, buff your entire deck. So if you wanted, you could play Evelynn with having many different champions and just have a fun playstyle of trying to level up as many champions as you can. Now, that's not going to be optimal, but it is a fun thing you could try out and play with. Alright, that's it for the in-game section. We'll now go take a look at what powers you might want to get while you're in those adventures, as well as what support champions you are wanting to look for. taking a look at some of the powers now you want to get for Evelynn. Here are some good common ones that can help you out. So we have Rush Them Down. When you summon an ally, give it 1/1 this round. And Battlefield Training, round start, grant the weakest ally 1/1. So the reason why these are good is that your weakest ally, and when you summon an ally, those are going to be working with your husks. So your weakest unit will always be a husk, generally, so making it a bit stronger, and then summoning at the start of the round. This is going to help you for consuming your husks and getting your units bigger and just further buffing them, because all the stat bonuses you get to husks move on to whoever kills them. So this just helps make your units stronger, and then the same with this. It's really what you want to be focusing on is buffing up your husks, then consuming them with a good unit to just get a very powerful unit. And that's really what a lot of these powers are going to be focused on. Alright, here we have Fixer Upper, round start, give your weakest ally 3/3 this round. The same thing as the Battlefield Training of the 1/1. Since this is just a give, normally this would go away at the end of the round, but since you're able to then consume the husk, you're making this be a permanent plus 3/3, which is amazing. Over here, Yip's Genius, when you summon a 1-cost ally, grant it 2/2, so all your husks getting 2/2, further improving all of your deck. This is the great thing with Evelynn, you're able to take temporary bonuses, or even bonuses that normally shouldn't work for your entire deck, but you're making those permanent and transferring those buffs onto other units. So Yip's Genius isn't actually just helping your 1-cost unit, it's essentially helping all of your units that get to consume a husk. They're all getting that increased stat bonus. This is very strong, and again, further just going into the focus of buffing up your husks and then transferring those buffs to your other units. Alright, for the last group of powers here, we have Wild Inspiration. Your created cards cost 1 less. This is going into your 2-star benefit of when you kill an ally, create a fleeting copy in hand, or when you kill a follower, either yours or the enemy. This is normally going to be your husks, which cost 1 mana, but then using this, it goes down to a 0-cost spell, which is great. The only thing is you don't want to grab this if you have Yip's Genius, because you want to make sure that it's a 1-cost card, but you're not going to be getting that most of the game, so for most of the time, Wild Inspiration's helping you out, making those husks that you consume, being able to replay them for no cost. Very nice for when you get a good husk spawning that you kill in the first, as the first unit, so like normally that elusive, maybe that spell shield. Being able to play that consistently can very much help you out. Welcome Gifts over here on the right. When you summon an ally, granted a random keyword. You're essentially getting this twice, because when you summon a husk, it's going to have a random keyword because it's a husk, and then it'll get another random keyword. Then when you play a unit that consumes it, it'll be getting the bonus keyword of Welcome Gifts, as well as all the keywords on the husk. This can really just lead to some crazy scaling, and you have units that just have all of these keywords. I didn't put the other epics in the guide because I didn't want it to be just completely a guide full of epic powers, but any keyword powers that you see in game, you normally work pretty well with Evelynn. Alright, lastly here we have Trifarian Might. When you summon a 5+ power ally, it strikes the weakest enemy. This works very well with Evelynn, because as you're scaling up your deck, it gets to the point where all of your units you summon have over 5 power, including the husks. Even the husks, when they get summoned, can strike the enemy units with Trifarian Might if they're buffed up enough to have over that 5 power. So this just gives you absolutely insane removal. Works very well if you can consistently level up your Evelynn. Alright, that's it for the powers. We'll go take a look at the support champions you might want to look for with Evelynn. Taking a look at the support champions, I'm not just going to give you a list of champions, I'm also going to give you what I think you should be thinking about when you're wanting to choose your support champions. So starting off with level up. How easy is this champion going to be to level up? if they level up, you're going to get that benefit of the star powers of buffing your entire deck. So that's kind of the number one thing you want to look at is, can I easily level up this champion to further buff my deck? Next is Augment. You're making a lot of created cards, so any unit with Augment is going to scale very high, very fast. Units dying. So several champions, they level up based on seeing units die, and any other abilities they might have that can work well with killing your own units. That is something that can work very well with Evelynn. You do have to be a little careful. You don't want to do that too much and not get all of your level ups in, but it still can scale since you will be consuming those husks. Lastly, stat increases. So some champions level up or scale very well with increased stats. So that is kind of the last thing I would say you really want to look at, other than obviously what items are rolled on the champions and their cards. So for actual champions, we have Victor. He's both very easy to level up because of your created cards you're constantly making, and then he's also going to scale with that augment, and the cards that come with him also going to scale with that augment as well. Lucian, very easy to level, and then also he's going to level up from those units dying, being a great champion for you. He also scales very well with stats, and in general is a good support champion for anyone, really. Thresh, again, units dying on both sides. Thresh is going to level up very easily, and then he can go and bring out another champion if you have one in your deck, further helping put more champions on the board, getting more level ups, increasing your entire deck. Lastly, we have Bard. So Bard levels up based on increasing stats. Because you're doing that so much, he's both going to level up, increasing your entire deck even more, as well as just giving you more chimes to further increase how big all of your units are. So this is it for support champions and what I think you want to look for, as well as some champions I think can work really well with Evelynn. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching that video all the way to the end. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. We're putting out multiple videos every single day for Path of Champions content. So if that interests you, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and welcome to the channel. Have a great day.